Okay, the aggression factor is slightly more complex than VPIP and PFR because it is not based on a simple percentage. In fact, you need 3 actions to compute the aggression factor. The formula then is number of bets plus number of raises divided by the number of calls. What this means is that the AF measures a player's proclivity towards aggression versus passiveness. So you are comparing the amount of times he bets and raises, aggression, to the amount of times he calls, his passiveness. This includes all kinds of post-flop bets like c-betting or re-raising, but there is only one type of call. So for example, an aggression factor of 1.0 shows that the player makes post-flop bets and raises equal to the amount of times he calls post-flop. Let's say over the course of a few rounds at the table, your opponent has bet out 8 times, re-raised 4 times, and called only twice after the flop. So his AF would be calculated as 12 divided by 2 equals 6.0. Well, that may seem rather aggressive, but it's not the entire story. So what does AF really mean? Well, most good players know when to be aggressive and will be playing with the common tag strategy of always betting your good hands, so a high aggression factor is not necessarily a bad thing. In fact, you may be playing against someone who seems to be a nice, mild-mannered dude who just avoids confrontations for whatever reason.
I've been alone for a long time. Not because I want to be, but because until I solve this problem, I have to be.
So if he checks and folds a lot, as opposed to calling, his AF is naturally going to be higher as a result because remember, you are measuring actions against one another. A high aggression factor is actually almost always better than having too low of an AF. That's because calling in poker is generally weak play and has no long-term value. But think of AF this way. The higher that number is, the more likely your opponent is going to come out firing bets after the flop. That could be a good thing if you know you have the best hand. So for example, if I have an opponent with a 6.0 AF and I flopped a set, then I'm probably going to check to that player and let him build the pot for me. Once he starts the action, then I will unleash some real firepower on him, and that often means check raising. On the flip side, if you have a hand that didn't get any help on the flop, you will be turning your hand into a high-risk bluff here if you choose to continue. And obviously, this is not a good spot to get frisky. Just remember, with all of these profile indicators, it doesn't matter what kind of player you are playing against because you are going to get all kinds in every single game. It only matters that you know what kind of player they are. In poker, if you know your opponent, you can beat him. Poker software helps you do that. Now we have enough information to start profiling our opponent's overall style of play. With aggression factor, as opposed to just raising, we can now more accurately define a player's overall aggression and use that on the Schoonmaker grid to create identifiable profile icons of our opponents. So with that, you will be able to make better decisions as to how to play against each of them, and we'll get into some of these specific profiles in the next video. Thanks for watching, and for sakes, try and stay out of trouble until the next video.